Yeah, so hi guys, this is Navdeep here. Uh, this is my another lecture on world history. So, in this lecture, what we'll be doing? We will be doing the reasons for the assassination of Austrian prince in Bosnia and the causes of World War First. So, this is what we'll be doing in this. So, what were the causes? If you see all my lectures, if you collect information, so I've just summed it up. So, what were the causes for the assassination? If you see, the first cause was the Web of Alliance. We see Triple Entente and Triple Alliance that was formed in the Europe. It created a sense of threat to each other. Okay, we saw rapid militarization due to this ongoing alliance system. Okay, we see that even if the Balkan states were fighting for their own territorial gains, somehow it was related to these alliances. We saw that the Serbia couldn't get Albania because Austria granted it freedom in the Treaty of London, and it was seen uh, as an attempt made by these allied powers. So somehow, overall, if we see somehow these alliances were creating a sense of threat. Germany came up with Schlieffen Plan. It thought that it would cross Belgium into the France and defeat it within six weeks. The war will be over. But there was a web of alliances around this Belgium. Belgium had an alliance with Britain. Britain had an alliance with Japan. So two big nations were pulled to this, one Asian and one European power were pulled towards the Belgium. So these alliances caused miscalculation, threats, and somehow there was a race for honor. Each of these territories wanted somehow these nations wants to gain more and more territories. So there is the honor. There is a system that is benefited for them. The second reason that we see is imperialism. We saw in Africa where both France and Germany came head to head over the Morocco. Even when you go into the history, we see that the Japan was even interested in the Pacific islands, which were with the Germany. Okay, so here the rift between the Germany and the Japan came into being when Germany captured the Pacific islands and it had to be captured by the Japan. That is why Japan jumped directly into the World War One. So somehow we see that the imperialistic mind of all the European nations was also a reason. Third, if we notice, is that there is a naval race between Germany and Britain. Both the nations wants to capture more and more territories, more and more territories. And Navy was playing a crucial part. Thus, both Germany and Britain started modernizing their navies, spending more and more money on the navies. Okay, so when navies are involved, imperialism is involved. So somehow all the allies get pulled towards it. Fourth thing, if we see that was a factor, was Russia's dissatisfaction. Whether it is 1908 when the Serbia called Russia's help over the Bosnian crisis, and Russia failed because it didn't have so much power. Russian failed humiliation at the home due to this. So, if we see in the broader sense, somehow Russia was always at the edge as a payback for the humiliation it has faced at home because it was not able to help the Serbians, whom he considered as its own people. And if we check in the broader sense, Serbia and Austria were always on edge. And it was seen that there was an invisible hand of Germany behind the Austria that made Austria somehow more popular in that region, a more powerful figure in that region. When Germany was backing Austria, we see 1905 Britain and France coming together and Traité Corday. 1907 we see Russia and Britain coming together. They ended their disputes in Asia. Germany was somehow more anxious. It needed a way, it needed a partner for more territorial gains, more trade, and more investment. That is why it kept Austria with him. It kept backing the Austria. Also, we see that cultural belief, whose culture was superior, who is superior among the European powers, was also a reason due to which this war, which could have been stopped at the early stages, involved whole major powers of the world. Okay, so we in last chapter we saw how the Schlieffen plan was a miscalculation because Belgium had invited the support from both Britain and Japan. Thus, Germany took more time than 6 months to capture it. It was in July. Now in August, we are in 4th of August 1940. German troops crossed the Belgium, and Germany used the most powerful weapon because it had recently modernized its army, and they captured Belgium on 15th of August 1940. And it is said that the Germans left a scene of death and destruction in that city. Even the civilians were shot from the point blank range. Priests, priests were not left. Now, in the northern part of France, if this is Bulgaria, this is Germany. Sorry, this is Belgium, this is Germany. This was the northern part of the France. It is said that German forces had reached till the northern part of the France. There's a Aisne River flowing in the northern France. It is said that the Allied powers, led by Britain, were somehow able to drive the Germans out of it, this Aisne River. They were driven back to the Belgium. This battle is called Battle of Marne, and it was fought in September 1940. On the eastern side, that is on the Russian side, we see that the Russian forces, because all of the German Germany also was focusing on France. Meanwhile, we see Russia entering through Poland, modern day Poland, towards the Germany. Though Russia had somehow destructed the offensive line of the Germany, but it wasn't able to do much harm. And Russia was defeated there. Since Russia had invested so much money and they were not winning the war, there was an economic instability that arose in Russia during this time. There was scarcity of food and other essentials. And the Russian population was now thinking that what has happened to our ruler? We can't defeat Germany. We can't help our own people. Thus, in the time to come, it led to Russian Revolution. For some time, the real superpower to be America, USA, whose president was Woodrow Wilson, was somehow neutral towards the war because it was also on its road to being an economic power. It didn't want to slow its growth by jumping into the war, which is not its. In 1950, what we see that near the island of British, we see that the German U-boats sunk several commercial and passenger vessels, ship vessels. U-boat, I told you that William invested more and more on submarines, the naval supremacy that we spoke about between Germany and Britain. And one near the island of Britain, when these U-boats attacked several ship vessels, it attacked most of the commercial and passenger vessels. And in that attack, some US ships were also involved. There was a passenger ship that was traveling from New York to Liverpool, England. It had hundreds of American passengers in it. They were killed in this attack. Four or more, it is said around four, we will say, commercial ships of the US was sank. So these attacks were somehow happening in March 1915, ending of March 1915. On April 2nd, 1915, American President Woodrow Wilson approached the Congress and declared a war on Germany. Okay. Now there was a Gallipoli campaign in 1914. This happened when we see that the World War One was looking like a stalemate. Why stalemate? Because Russian powers was stopped by the Germany. Germany was also entering to the Belgium and was attacking the France continuously. It had attacked US. The allies, the triple entente whom we called, they attacked the Ottoman Empire, who was a partner of Germany also. And they reached and annexed the Gallipoli Peninsula. Okay. Now what happened? That the British too, when they entered this Gallipoli Peninsula, they were heavily attacked. British lost around 2,50,000 casualties. Now, why British attacked the Ottoman Empire was mostly because there was a stalemate, and they wanted to gain a point here. But British faced a large casualty during this Gallipoli campaign, and this is regarded as the failure of British military here. Okay. Now, at the Gallipoli, we see the Turkish military won. But we see that the invasion didn't stop. Somehow, the invasion in Turkey was happening. Even on the home turf, if we see, Turkey had a revolt from the Arabs. There was an Arab revolt against the Ottoman Empire. Thus, Ottoman Empire was also feeling totally extinction, and continuous invasion attempts was keeping it at ease. Thus, Ottoman Empire signed a treaty with allies in October 1980. Okay. In the meantime, we see Austria, which was till now, that was the Habsburg Empire, ruled by the Habsburg Empire, was till now backed by the Germany. So whatever problem it had, it would directly go and ask the Germany कि साहब हमें ये problem है, आप हमारी help कर दीजिए. And Germany would also give them all the financial assistance and this. But what had happened, this Habsburg Empire, there was a revolt against it on November 4, 1918. Due to this, it discontented from the war. Austria pulled its feet behind. And Germany, because Italy had also gone out of war, now Germany was left all alone. Now Germany knew that there will be some attacks on him and it will be totally destroyed. So what it does on November 4, 1980, it signs a treaty, accepts a defeat, and the World War ends on November 11, 1918. So what started in July 1914 with various events that happened till November 11, 1918, till they till the Germany stepped down. So this was what was happening. Okay, this is what happened during the war. Okay. Now these all the cases we have discussed in the beginning. All these consequences, all these reasons. Now there were certain new techniques that were used in the war. Though it was mainly fought on the European soil, but there were certain events, or so we can say certain techniques that were used for the first time in a war. So we will just note it out because maybe a question is asked in the mains that what made World War First a long drawn war. So what were the reasons that the World War First stretched from 1914 till 1918? There was a stalemate. Germany had already lost his plan. There were miscalculations in the Schneefel plan. What were the reasons that this war stretched for this long? तो सबसे पहला वो जो तरीका इसमें आता है जिसके करके वॉर बहुत लंबी गई, वो थी ट्रेंच वॉरफेयर वॉर. अब ये जो ट्रेंच वॉरफेयर थी, ये जब वो नॉर्दर्न फ्रांस में घुस रहे थे जर्मनी, आर्सनेस रिवर के आसपास, तो वहां पे फ्रांस आर्मी क्या करती थी, ट्रेंचेस डिग कर देती थी. अब फॉर एग्जांपल ये आपकी एक लाइन है, यहाँ पे आपकी फ्रेंच आर्मी है जो कि इन्हें एक ट्रेंच डिग कर दी, और यहाँ पे जर्मनी ने एक ट्रेंच डिग कर दी. सोल्जर्स जो थे वो इस ट्रेंच में बैठ जाते थे। ओके, उन्हें ये पता था कि अगर हम बाहर गए तो हम मर दिए जाएंगे। लेकिन जब ये ट्रेंचेस बन गए तो इसके करके एक स्टेलमेट वाली कंडीशन आ गई, क्योंकि अगर आपको इनको मारना है, अब तब तो मिसाइल वगैरह का सिस्टम था नहीं इतना ज़्यादा, तो डायरेक्ट ये चीज़ थी कि अगर आपको इनको मारना है, अगर ये जर्मनी है और ये फ्रांस है, तो आपने एक न एक पार्टी को तो बाहर जाना ही पड़ेगा। एक फेमस पंजाबी मूवी है सज्जन सिंह रंगरूट, उसमें ये ट्रेंचेस का कंसेप्ट बहुत क्लियरली बताया गया। और इन्हें पता था अगर हमें इनको मारना है तो हमें बाहर जाना, तो एक स्टेलमेट की कंडीशन बन गई थी। लेकिन जब सोल्जर्स एक ट्रेंच में रहते हैं, बारिश पड़ती है, तो वाटर जो वो कोलैबोरेट हो ही जाएगा, तो उससे डिजीजेज होंगी और उन डिजीज के करके बहुत सारी डेथ्स होती। लेकिन ये बात थी कि बहुत टाइम तक जो दोनों फोर्सेस हैं वो इन ट्रेंचेस में बैठ जाते। दूसरी बात, दूसरा जो रीजन था कि ये बहुत लंबी चली वॉर, वो थी ब्लॉकेड पॉलिसी, सी में होती थी। अब नेवल नेवल के वाइज सुप्रीम दो चीजें थी, ब्रिटेन और जर्मनी। वो क्या करते थे कि एक दूसरे के जो ट्रेड रूट्स हैं उसको ब्लॉक कर देते थे। ओके, अब फॉर एग्जांपल आपकी यहाँ जर्मनी है नियर द कोस्ट और यहाँ पे ब्रिटेन फोर्सेस एट द कोस्ट, तो इनका जो सामान है वो यहाँ से यहाँ आना है, ट्रेड रूट इनका ये है और इनका ये है। तो ये क्या करते थे, एक दूसरे का ट्रेड रूट जो था वो ब्लॉक कर देते थे। एसेंशियल जो कमोडिटीज थी वो पहुंचती नहीं थी। तो जब अगर आपको किसी को एसेंशियल कमोडिटीज पहुंची नहीं तो ऑफकोर्स वो या तो स्टार्व करेंगे, सोल्जर्स खाने के बिना मर जाएंगे, तो ऑफकोर्स वो सरेंडर की ओर जाएंगे। ओके, अब हर कोई ये चाह रहा था कि ट्रेड रूट्स जो इनको सेफ रखा जाए। ठीक, अब जर्मनी जिसकी नई नई नेवी बनी थी, तो ब्रिटेन ने सबसे ज्यादा जो अटैक था वो जर्मन की नेवी के ऊपर किया और सबसे ज्यादा डिवास्टेशन जो थी उनकी की। अब ये ब्लॉकेड वॉर चल रही थी जर्मनी और ब्रिटेन की, इसके बीच में कहीं ना कहीं यूएस से भी, मैंने आपको भी बताया कैसे पुशअप हो गए। जर्मनी अब जब पहले ही इतना ज्यादा हार रहा था ब्रिटेन से बाय मींस ऑफ सी वॉर, तो इसने अब जो टेक्निक लगाई थी वो थी सी माइंस और सबमरीन अटैक। ओके, 1916 में अगर हम देखते हैं, एक वॉर होती है जिसे कहा जाता है बैटल ऑफ जटलैंड। ये सी के ऊपर ही होती है, नेवी की तरफ से होती है, नेवी वॉर, नेवल वॉर थी बैटल ऑफ जटलैंड। इसमें हम ये देखते हैं कि ब्रिटिश जो है कंप्लीटली डोमिनेट कर लेते हैं जर्मन नेवी को। ओके, उसके बाद जो है जर्मनी अनरिस्ट्रिक्टेड सबमरीन वॉरफेयर यूज करता है अटलांटिक ओशन। अब सबमरीन वॉरफेयर का एक नुकसान ये भी था कि जो न्यूट्रल शिप्स होती हैं, पैसेंजर शिप्स होती हैं, वो भी नहीं जर्मनी उन पे भी अटैक कर रहा था। और यही रीजन बनता है कि जब यूएस वॉल में आ जाता है। ओके, अब यूएस प्रेसिडेंट जो उस टाइम पे वुडरो विल्सन थे, वो एक 14 पॉइंट्स का मेमोरेंडम बनाते हैं। जैसे ही वॉर एंड की ओर जाती है तो हम देखते हैं कि वुडरो विल्सन जो थे वो एक 14 पॉइंट्स बनाते हैं कि जो आगे की दशा होगी वो कैसी। तो वुडरो विल्सन के 14 पॉइंट्स क्या थे? सबसे पहले वुडरो विल्सन ये देखते हैं कि जो ये अटैक्स हो रहे हैं ये सीक्रेट डिप्लोमेसी के करके, जो सीक्रेट अटैक हो रहे थे उनके करके हो रहे हैं। तो वुडरो विल्सन सबसे पहले सीक्रेट डिप्लोमेसी को अबॉलिश करने की मांग करते हैं। दूसरी बात जो ये कहते हैं कि सीज में, क्योंकि यूएस को सबसे ज्यादा नुकसान हुआ था, जो सी वॉर हो रही थी, जो सबमरीन अटैक्स हो रहे थे, तो वुडरो विल्सन 14 पॉइंट्स में दूसरा पॉइंट ये कहते हैं कि जो सीज है वहां पे फ्री नेविगेशन होनी चाहिए, बोथ इन वॉर एंड पीस टाइम। तीसरी बात ये करते हैं कि जो इकोनॉमिकल बैरियर्स एक स्टेट दूसरे स्टेट में बना रही थे, उनका रिमूवल होना चाहिए। चौथा पॉइंट इनका यह था कि रिडक्शन ऑफ आर्मेंट्स। हमें चेक करना चाहिए कि अगर हमारे जो नेबरिंग स्टेट है वो आर्म्स ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा इकट्ठे कर रहा है, तो इट कैन बी सीन एज ए साइन ऑफ डेंजर। ओके, पांचवा जो पॉइंट कहते हैं कि पॉपुलेशन कंसर्न पहले देखिए, इम्पीरियलिस्टिक एम जो है आप बाद में देखिए, अब पॉपुलेशन एम पहले देख लीजिए। हम ये देखते हैं कि जर्मनी जो है रशिया को हरा देता है और उसकी कुछ टेरिटरीज भी ऑक्यूपाई कर लेते हैं। तो 7.6 पॉइंट इसका ये कहता है कि जो रशियन टेरिटरीज जर्मनी के पास आ चुके हैं उनको इवैक्यूएट करें। और जर्मनी ने जो इंक्लूड किया बेल्जियम में, वो बेल्जियम को छोड़ दो। ओके, अब हम ये भी देखते हैं कि जैसे मैंने आपसे कहा था कि 1860s में जो आल्सेस एंड लॉरेन थे, जो दो मेजर रॉ मटेरियल के पोर्शन थे फ्रांस के, जो फ्रांस की हार के बाद रशिया को दिए गए थे, यानी जर्मनी को दिए गए थे। तो विंडो विल्सन का एक पॉइंट ये भी कहता है कि वो वापस से फ्रांस को दिए। इसी वॉर में हमने ये देखा कि 1970s में कि ऑस्ट्रिया एग्रीमेंट जो थी, वहाँ की हैम्सबर्ग जो फैमिली थी उसके खिलाफ रिवॉल्ट का शुरू हो चुका था। तो विंडो विल्सन का एक पॉइंट ये भी कहता है कि जो ऑस्ट्रिया हंगरी के लोग हैं उनको सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट दिए जानी चाहिए। और इसका अगला पॉइंट ये था कि सर्बिया, जैसे अल्बानिया के थ्रू सी रूट चाहिए था, तो विंडो विल्सन ने सपोर्ट किया कि उनको सी रूट मिलना चाहिए। और जो आपकी ओटोमन अंपायर के बाहर के लोग थे, जब ओटोमन अंपायर का हिस्सा नहीं थे, यानी नॉन तुर्किश पीपल जो थे, उन्हें सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट का राइट दे दीजिए। अब जो बात आती है 1871 में, हमने देखा कि दो नेशंस का बर्थ होता है ऑन द बेस ऑफ लैंग्वेज, जर्मनी एंड इटली। 1980 में हम ये देखते हैं कि इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ पोलैंड बनता है। और एक बात आती है कि एक जनरल एसोसिएशन ऑफ नेशंस बननी चाहिए ताकि पीस रहे, ऑन द लाइंस ऑफ कांग्रेस ऑफ वियना। अब 14 पॉइंट्स ऑफ विंडो विल्सन ने कहे थे, लेकिन जर्मनी और फ्रांस के प्रेशर के बाद, सॉरी ब्रिटेन और फ्रांस के प्रेशर के बाद इनको दो और पॉइंट इसमें ऐड करने पड़े। पहला जो पॉइंट था उसमें वो था डिसआर्ममेंट ऑफ जर्मनी, कि जर्मनी टोटल डिसआर्ममेंट करेगा और जर्मनी पे करेगा जो उसे लॉसेस हुए थे इन द वॉर। ओके, अब एक पीस ट्रीटी बनती है जो कि पेरिस में साइन होती है, ट्रीटी ऑफ वर्सलेस उसे कहते हैं। तो नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में हम ये देखेंगे कि वो ट्रीटी ऑफ वर्सलेस क्या थे, उसके पॉइंट्स क्या थे। थैंक यू।